Took a while, but I think it's when she started. Have the big bags anymore. They just have the individuals. So I told them I could go to Sam's and get them.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Bob. This is the, what is today? The June 18th, 2025 Technical Review Committee meeting. Thank you all for coming. Looks like our first item is the request to approve minutes from April 16th, May 7th, and May 21st of this year, TRC minutes. Have you all had a chance to review these minutes? All right. Can I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. These minutes have been approved. And I'll make sure I sign them afterward. Thank you. All right, moving into our items. We've got a number of continuances. I'm going to take these in terms of their continuance date. So item number 2, the Aslan Sandwash Edition. We have a request to continue to the July 8th, 2025 TRC meeting. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All right, this development application is continued to July 8th. Items 3, 4, and 5 all have requests to continue to the July 23rd. I think that's it, right? Yep, to the July 23rd, 2025 TRC meeting. If I could have a motion to that effect for all 3, that's the station at SRB, Church Street Subdivision, and Capital Vet Clinic.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Those items will be heard on the July 23rd TRC meeting. And lastly, we have the Lumen self-storage, item number 6. We have a request to table. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
This item is tabled. All right, item number 7 is the Legion Park improvements.
Morning, Mr. Chair. This is a request approved by development order to Legion Park Improvements Project. Its number is MIN 25-000105. It's being reviewed by myself. This is a minor development order application submitted by Walton County Board of County Commissioners requesting to add improvements to Legion Park on 3.43 plus or minus acres with future land use and zoning district of Parks and Recreation. The project is located in District 4 and it's located on the north side of Crest Drive and east of North Geronimo Street and is identified by the parcel ID in your staff report. Mr. Chair, there's just a few outstanding comments. The agent is here with their engineer to answer any in-depth questions. There's nothing I see that would prohibit the successful resubmittal, the concurrency fee and mobility fee, they're exempt as being a county project. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have before I turn it over to the applicant.
Okay, let's go ahead and enter the report into the record.
Yes, can I enter staff report in the record, please?
So entered. Do y'all have any questions? No, sir. All right, we'll hear the applicant.
All right, thank you.
Morning.
Morning.
Nathan Hayden. I'm with Barge Design Solutions. We're contracted to do the design for Legion Park. The improvements are adding some pickleball courts, basketball court, some piers for boat launch, and here to answer any questions that you all may have on the project.
It seems like you guys are removing some things. Looks like a volleyball court or a basketball court, things like that. Can you speak to some of that? How much ISR is being removed? How much is coming back in? Is there, what's the difference there?
I don't have that exact information handy. I apologize. But yes, we're removing and replacing basketball courts. So it's almost a 1-to-1 there. But we are replacing a sand volleyball with pickleball courts.
Okay. So a little additional ISR?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Site?
Yes, sir.
Right.
And some additional sidewalk.
Parking, any parking improvements?
There's not going to be much additional parking. We're basically just resurfacing what is there. We are adding some along the right of way of Crest.
Okay. Parallel
Parking, yes, sir.
All right. Any questions for the applicant?
Hayden, Hayden. Yes, ma'am.
No questions. All right, this is a minor development. I'll go ahead and ask any members of the public who have technical questions, comments, or concerns to come forward now. Thank you, sir. Good morning.
Thank you for listening to us about our concerns about Legion Park. I've lived around Legion Park for over 28 years. It's a very sweet park. It's small. And it's very emotional for us that live near that park. We frequent it every day. And we're just very concerned about the old Florida charm of the park being removed. They have listened to us. We had about 75 people show up at the meeting last summer, and the majority of the neighbors voiced their opinion. So I'm speaking for a lot of them today that could not be here. A lot of them are retired military. It is I would say, a more mature community. We do have some children, but not a lot. So we're very concerned about a few things. One of them is the docks that are going to be added onto the boat ramp. We all utilize the boat ramp, and it can get in the summertime very, very congested. It's a one-lane entrance and exit, so you have trucks with trailers coming in, and it can be a safety issue. There's, families do come from other areas, bring their children, bring their pets, and the fishermen, they're focused on getting their boats in and out. They're not necessarily paying attention to everything around them. So we're very concerned about the boat docks going in at the boat ramp. We're concerned about traffic, a lineup of boats going onto Crest Drive out into a neighborhood. This park is literally in the middle of a neighborhood. And we're also concerned about, if someone could please answer this question, is there an ordinance in place that would allow commercial pontoon boats and other commercial fishing boats and whatnot to utilize this park as a part of business? I was under the understanding that there is an ordinance in place, and there are other waterfront parks that are having problems with this. So that is a huge issue for us if that is true. Because all of the commercial pontoon boats, their patrons, their cars will all be trying to get into the water at the same time and also exit the water at the same time. So that's going to create a lot of congestion. In addition, we're concerned about a buildup of trash that all of these people will be bringing into the park. So if we were going to do the boat docks, most people would prefer to have the boat docks for just basic people to be able to enter the water, and not have them put where the boat ramp is. That's could potentially be a safety issue too, if that's the only access to the water for children and other people to be able to enter the bay. So perhaps we could just move those docks to a better location so that it's not the boaters that get to utilize them, but actually the people, the visitors at the park. And having said that, this is a waterfront park. A lot of us are very opposed to the splash pad for a variety of reasons. Environmentally, it's not good. Two, it's very small. It's just kind of been put into the plans, we feel, and it's not going to be overly useful. But I will say also that we had a staff member and a group of her friends take their children to a Walton County splash pad recently within this month, and the kids got sick, bacterial infection. She ended up having to miss work for several days, had to take the child to the hospital, get all this testing done. Then she had to do all of these, phone calls trying to get to the root of what the health illness, where it came from. So it consumed kind of her life for a week. But now on top of that, and it was a financial burden for them too, but on top of that, now she can never go back to a park that has a splash pad in it because her children don't understand that it's not safe. So she has to, avoid all parks that have a splash pad. So given that this is a very tiny splash pad that they're putting in, given that it's a waterfront park, I think it would be a better use to just move the docks so that people could access, the bay, natural water. And I, after she got sick, I did some other research on splash pads, and it is a big problem. There are brain-eating amoebas that children have received. They receive these amoebas through their nose, and there have been reported deaths. Not in Florida that I'm aware of, but, E. coli, salmonella, giardia. There's just a variety of health concerns, safety and health concerns that go along with the splash pad. And then I think, just for the neighborhood in general, people are concerned about noise pollution from the pickleball courts. They did reduce those from 4 to 2. We're very pleased about that. However, we're just concerned about the amount of money that's going in. We have a pickleball court, and now it's going to get pulled up. The volleyball courts getting removed, which is natural earth for water mitigation. We're having issues with water mitigation. I mean, I can pretty much assure you, I meant to drive by this morning, that the retention pond that they have installed, which now is taking all of the stormwater from Highway 98. We have a new hotel that's gone in. We have the Blake, and all of that stormwater, or not all of it, a lot of it is getting funneled down to the park. This is creating sinkholes within the park area. And all kinds of water issues. I've been there for a very long time. We take our dogs to the park. We take our golf cart to the park. I've never seen, since they have changed the water system and actually eliminated property from the Walton County taxpayers to utilize for the storm drainage. So now we don't have enough parking spaces that we could have used that property for, and it's not even effective. It's really messing up the water issues at the park. So those are my biggest concerns. But really, overall, I can speak for my neighbors and say that most people really just want a little money put into it, a little TLC. We really don't want everything to be ripped out, changed around. It's a beautiful, I don't know if you've ever been to this park. It's just, it's just very old Florida, and it's going to lose a lot of the charm with a lot of the plans. And these plans are going to create more problems, specifically safety, health issues, congestion issues, water issues, and just a variety of other issues that are going to go along with more people coming to this park due to having docks on the boat ramp. To have boats coming and going with a one-lane entrance is just going to wreak havoc in our neighborhoods. So thank you for listening.
Do you have any?
My name is Sabrina Reber. Sure, it's R-E-B as in boy, E-R. Thank you.
Ma'am, what do you mean by old Florida feel?
Keeping the old trees, keeping it as natural as possible, not commercializing it, turning it into a commercial business space. That's what we mean. Really doing as little as possible, making it clean and nice landscaping, maybe some flowers, leaving the trees that are there. These are old trees. They provide shade, maybe some shade pavilions. But for the most part, even like the kiddie center, we really love something that's natural and indigenous, not bright reds and yellows and greens, but more like, you know, like a nature park. We would love for this to be more focused on nature, birds, aquatic life, maybe educational signs that talk, you know, so the kids could learn, and it would create conversations with parents about, you know, we have ospreys that come in, and if trees are just cut down, it's really just going to disrupt the whole ecosystem and neighborhood of this park. So the commercialization too, just leaving it an old Florida park would mean that would be less people coming in with their boats and trailers, and just keeping it quaint and charming.
Understood. Thank you.
Peaceful, a peaceful park where people, you know, we have people that come in from AA and they have meetings there, and, you know, they talk about their issues and their struggles and their problems. And this is just going to turn into sort of a sports park and a boating place. It's right in the middle of a neighborhood. So it's going to take away a lot of just the peaceful old Florida park feel.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Morning.
Hi, my name's Frances Lovich, and I've lived on Bayshore Drive for 33 years, and I've gone to Legion Park almost every day, either by myself or walking my dogs. And
Ma'am, before you continue, will you spell your last name?
Lovich.
Thank you.
Okay. So right now, I counted yesterday, there's probably about 47 mature pines and 2 oaks on that property. And from what I understand, they're going to cut at least half of them down for a retention pond and for some of the other improvements that they're going to put there. So that park has grass and shade right now, and their plans are to eliminate a lot of the shade and grass. They're planning on putting a concrete walkway that meanders around the park. And I looked at the plans, and I wasn't sure if it's 6 feet wide or 10 or 12 feet wide, but that's taking up a lot of the green space, and a lot of it's going to go around the pine trees. And I think on one of the plans it said they're going to use a root bridge paving system. So they'll try to keep some of the pines, and then they're going to pile a bunch of crushed rock on top of the root systems, and then pour concrete on top of that. So and if it's 12 feet wide in terms of the path width, that's going to create a lot of stress on the trees. That's a lot of pavement because it's going to go all around. They've already paved along the bay, which is wonderful because they put in some swings so you can kind of walk along and you can sit. But meandering these concrete walkways throughout the park is going to eliminate a lot of green space. A lot of people in the neighborhood that use the park, they don't have yards. They have very small yards. So they go to this park to walk in the grass, to enjoy the shade, the water. And all of this paving, it's too much concrete, honestly, and it's going to damage the trees. They're going to try to save, and they're going to take out a lot of trees. It's hot and, you know, during the summertime, so we need our shade. And then I looked at the plans. There's a lot of areas where they're going to do big sections of landscaping. They're going to be putting in flowers, different types of grasses. So that's minimizing space that kids can walk on, play games, you know, look, soccer, whatever. And with all of these large sections of landscaping, herbicides, pesticides, fertilizer. I think one of the plans said that they were going to use formaldehyde and lime in these landscaped areas. And all of it, we're right next to the bay. All of this stuff is going to run into the bay and contaminate the water. You know, I've lived on the bay for 33 years, and I used to crab a lot. I paddleboard. I don't see many crabs. And I think a lot of that has to do with the runoff from fertilizer, and, you know, having more of these plantings and landscaping is just going to have more runoff contaminating the bay. This year I went paddleboarding, I only saw 2 crabs within a mile area. So the bay water is already compromised and it's gonna get worse. And, you know, they said they're gonna use $1.4 million for improvements on this park. I try to go to the beach. I can't find parking. Why don't we allocate some of that money, you know, to find more beach accesses and parking for the locals? I think that's about all that I wanted to say, but it's just like, you know, the park is quiet right now, and the plans are to create this kind of amusement park, recreational facility. I don't mind they're having, you know, an upgraded area for the kids to play. The splash pad, as, you know, Sabrina said, is an issue with the E. coli and just keeping it clean. I talked to Brian Kellinger, and he said they're gonna train some employees to monitor the water levels. How, is that really gonna happen? They don't even clean the barbecue pits where the ashes are. So if they can't even maintain the park as it is, how are they gonna maintain these other areas? I like my park as it is, and we need, you know, I'm for some improvements, you know, go ahead and put in the boat docks, but there's a lot of issues where we're gonna take away a lot of the green space, which kids and people want to see and enjoy. So, thank you.
Thank you. So just to reinforce my initial offering here, this is a technical review committee meeting, right? So I understand this is an older park. You folks have enjoyed it in its current state for some time. The proposal will improve some things out there. Please, let's refrain from entering into the emotional sort of aspects of the development and stick to the technical aspects of what's being proposed, please. Thank you. Come forward if you have something, sir.
Rain out there. It's hard to get here. Sorry I got here a little late.
You're fine.
My name is Dan Scoopin. I live at 74 Crest Drive, right in front of the parks.
Thank you. Will you spell your name for the clerk, please?
SCUPIN.
Thank you.
And I don't have too much to say, but I just believe that the homeowners next to the public parks have rights too. And that's kind of my basic statement. And I just want to read something because it'll take too long if I try to explain it here. Noise pollution from homeowners within 500 feet of courts, pickleball courts, can be serious litigious issues. Homeowners all around the country are revolting about the noise pollution of nearby pickleball courts. Courts should not be installed unless they meet acceptable community sound levels. Sound levels created by these courts have high pitch levels, even 1,000 to 1,300 hertz, and have been recorded from 7 to 80 decibels. This tends to be 20 to 30 decibels above the normal and acceptable level for nearby courts, sports areas. It says acceptable sound levels to nearby residents should be determined before courts are installed. These studies should be performed by experts in the field and be made part of the permanent record of the approval proceedings. I want some type of statement like that, like those, to be made part of the minutes of this meeting. In the event of a homeowner lawsuit regarding the noise pollution from these courts, the parties agreeing to the installation have been formally notified of this potential liability and must take responsibility for the approval of a project that includes such an obvious potential liability. Has a noise pollution study been done? I haven't seen one. I got a copy of 21 pages, but I didn't see anything about a noise pollution study. And I just wondered, is it just purposely being ignored? The rights of the homeowners nearby have been ignored, or do you have any comments about that at all? Because I think that's a technical issue.
It is uncommon for anyone to submit any sort of sound attenuation study or anything like that. We certainly don't require it. We wouldn't require it for a recreational component. But your comments do not go unheard. So thank you.
Okay, well, this is about the homeowners next to the park.
I understand.
Okay.
Anyone else? Good morning.
My name is Jim Harris. I live in the neighborhood, and I would echo the comments of my neighbors. I think what you're sensing is there's a groundswell of support here for not pursuing some of these changes. We don't really, at least I wouldn't consider these things improvements, particularly for the residents. I'm not sure if there's a groundswell of demand for splash pads. I think there's probably plenty of them around that other people can use. You can go anywhere around you can go down the street, you can go to any of the malls around and use splash pads. So I'm not sure what's driving the demand for these improvements. And I'm curious about procedurally, like you're evaluating the technical merits of this request. Where does this go now? Because I think what you're sensing is that there's not a lot of support for this from the residents. Now there might be from pontoon rental businesses or from tourists, but from the people who actually live here and who actually use the park, this is not something that we want. So what is it? What are the next steps, at least from this board?
Depending on the motion, it's going to wind up on the director's desk for final approval. This is
The director of the county commission?
of planning, the director of the planning department. This isn't an administrative decision. It's a minor development.
Okay. It doesn't sound minor, but
It is far below the threshold that the county considers.
in terms of dollars spent?
The development thresholds of square footage and things like that we
Okay.
determine if it's a major or minor.
Okay. Do we know if there's going to be commercial pontoon rentals, jet ski rentals?
I can't speak to that. I don't know.
Okay. So just speaking from experience, back during COVID, this park was a godsend. It was a peaceful oasis for the residents. When they shut down the beaches, we were able to use this park as a kind of a peaceful getaway. And like some of the residents have already said, there's beautiful live oak trees, there's beautiful loblolly pine trees, and there's beautiful longleaf pine trees in this park. And if you're going to destroy that, I think that is something that would be viewed very negatively by the residents of this community. Not that I'm a tree hugger, but these trees are very, very pretty. They provide a lot of shade. It's a very peaceful park. The entrance to the park is quite narrow, so it's single lane. I don't know if the plans are going to expand that. But I would suspect if you're going to increase the flow of people in and out of this park, there would present a problem for emergency vehicles getting into and out of this park.
Anything else, sir?
I think that's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Charlie Matthews, Mathews. I live at 213 Ponce de Leon Street, just like half a block down from the park. And just generally speaking, I just want to see the park stay the way that it is. I know one of the developments is proposed is like to encage the basketball court. It's just, it's like claustrophobic. The way it is now, it's just open, it's nice, it's beautiful. Is anybody familiar with the Jesse Newsom? Does that name sound familiar to y'all? Jesse Newsom. So at this park, there's a memorial to this young man. I don't know if I can show my phone to you all, but if you've ever been to this park, there's a really nice memorial for this young man that probably died for our country. He would go to this park every single day as a child. They set up a beautiful memorial for him. The place is called Legion, which kind of has roots in like military, etc. And I just think it should just stay. If you haven't been down there, go check out the memorial to this young man, and I'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tricia Scoopin, also at 74 Crest Drive, directly across the park. My husband and I built our house in '04, and when we bought our property, we saw this nice little small neighborhood park. Thought this is pleasant, great. Never dreaming 20 years later that Walton County government would want to ruin it. I have looked at that park every day for 20 years, and I have seen families and kids come out and enjoy it the way that it is. You're putting all this stuff in here, this improvements you call them, I don't. All the infrastructure, you're gonna have all this pavement, sidewalks, parallel parking along Crest Drive. It's gonna affect the water runoff. We've already got water standing as it is. You're gonna have the more volume of people and traffic. People like to walk, ride bikes, walk their dogs. You're gonna have way too much parking. There's barely enough parking for trucks and boat parking right now in the summertime. This is gonna be a disaster. Why can't you leave it alone the way it is? This should not be a tourist destination. They go to the beaches. This should not be a sports complex. This was meant to be a small family park, neighborhood park. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hello, my name's Josh Eberly. I live about half a block away from Park 2.
Please spell your last name, sir.
Eberly. I've lived in the area right by the park for close to 20 years. I utilize the boat dock. I go out at night floundering and stuff like that. The boat launch, really, not the boat dock. The plans show the 2 extensions out for boat dock extensions, and I really don't think that's something that makes much sense because the water at any given time is between 6 inches and maybe 10 inches. You know, so I mean, most boats don't even float unless they're sitting right there in a washout spot. I looked over the plans, and you know, there's a lot of remove this and remove that. I deal with the DEP and the EPA and the planning department a lot in construction that I do. Moving the trees. Has anybody actually like looked and seeing if they're actually going to be able to remove those trees? I've done a lot of work with arborists and stuff like that, to where I've, you know, GPS located trees that you can't take out, like live oaks and stuff like that, you know, and these trees are big around. Some longleaf pine, you know, I think it's like 18 inches diameter, and you can't remove them.
What do you mean by that, sir? Who says you can't remove that?
Florida. I did a lot of work over Eden Gardens, and I located over 120 different species of trees, and you know, live oaks, longleaf pines, magnolias, and stuff like that. There's a diameter that you can't go. If it's say 18 inches and the tree is 17, you can cut it down, but if it's 19, you can't. You know, there's a lot of.
Is this something in the statutes you're referring to? We currently do not have an ordinance in place at the county that seeks to protect a tree of any diameter. We have species we protect currently.
Species. Yes. Certain species of trees have certain diameter restrictions.
Right. The species we protect are part of habitat that we protect.
Okay, so like certain situations that happen in Walton County, like out towards watercolor area and stuff like that, cutting down longleaf, I mean not longleaf, but live oaks and stuff for development.
Right.
I know everybody knows what I'm talking about on that.
I think that was on actual state land or conservation
public
land.
Development. I mean, not a public development, it was a private development for residential housing and stuff like that, where they went and cut down.
Right, off of 30A, is that what you're referring to?
Where Cowgirl Kitchen used to be.
Right. That was
stink.
part of the habitat that we protect. That was the issue there. They didn't get any approvals from the county.
And they did it anyways, and then asked for forgiveness.
That's right.
So, and the thing too with the trees, you know, you want to do the gravel base and then concrete around it. That's just one of those things where if you can't kill the tree by cutting it down, you'll kill the tree slowly.
Understood.
And the boat parking right now, if everybody was to park the way you're supposed to park with a boat in a boat trailer, there's anywhere between 10 to 12 different areas that you could park your boat with, park your truck with your trailer after launching, and still do a turnaround whenever you come down to turn around and then actually back the boat down. The plans show the 6 spots that they're allocating for boat parking, and then parking over here, and then concrete bottlenecking down to the boat launch, to where if you pull down with the boat and a trailer, you can't. How does that work for people that actually utilize that for a boat launch? Certain things with the runoff that we have a lot of issues down Crest Drive because of the residential housing that's been put there, where we have standing water after a storm for days. And it's an ongoing issue for the last couple of years. Now there's like 13 more houses going to be built on the end of it and got approved. There's a lot of water issues already. The basketball court that we have there now, really nothing wrong with it other than maybe new basketball goals. No reason to demo the concrete and take it from this way to this way and then put pickleball court over here where the volleyball net is that people actually use, and relocate the pickleball from where it was, demo that, which is new, over here. Let's see, a couple other issues I'm thinking of. There's nothing in there for the bathrooms. Bathhouse there, as far as men and women's bathrooms and stuff like that. Throughout the years, the development, the improvements that they've done over there, they've painted it. You go on the inside, it smells so bad you want to leave. They got aluminum foil patched over rust spots, spray painted white. You know what I mean? They put cameras up and a paint job on the outside. There's nothing in there for improvements on that. I would think with the money that we're talking about, an actual remodel on the bathhouse would be a little bit more important than a splash pad, in my opinion. And then the picnic areas where you have the tables and the concrete pavilion tops or whatever, I think those are existing from whenever the park was originally built. They're rusting out, the concrete's splitting, flat paint on it, keep going. Stuff that is there that money could be spent on to improve and repair versus rip out, spend money, put new, and make people mad. And also create problems with water, runoff chemicals, treating all the sod. There's not sod there now. It's just natural grass. And it doesn't require very much upkeep and maintenance. It has natural flowers, dandelions, stuff like that. So we're going to take away a lot of natural and put in a lot of man-made. Man-made, it doesn't work for a park.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else?
Good morning. My name is Clint Vieman, V-I-E-H-M-A-N. And along with the rest of the neighborhood, I'm a very avid boater. I love boating. My girlfriend and I go out 2, 3, 4 times a week sometimes. The current plans, as he has discussed, for trailer parking is going to take away about half of it. Just doesn't make sense. You can't turn around in there if you put in, different spots, and it just doesn't work. And I brought this up prior, and they were like, well, that's the way it is. Go to Cessna Landing or go somewhere else, but there's nowhere else to go. We have to go down to Destin to launch our boat, or Cessna Landing where they have like pontoon rentals now and stuff. So it's really would create a big challenge to us. And I foresee this being a big problem going forward. If this thing does get made, we're gonna have people come there, launch their boats in the morning time, anchor them out, and then take their cars back or park them in the parallel parking area on the front of Crest Drive, and clog it all up. So I see that being a big issue. And like Zita said, any certain time, it has to be a small boat. I mean, 6 or 10 feet of water, it barely floats. So, or you have jet skis. So the docks, really, it's kind of a moot point also. It's going to turn out to be kids jumping off of them into both paths and possibly being a safety hazard. So that's kind of what I foresee myself. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Anyone else?
Hello, good morning. My name is Sarah Moss. My first question, I printed out the agenda item report, And it seemed that the only plan that was included in the package was like a demolition plan. And so I had requested the completed application with like the signed, sealed, engineered plans, and it didn't, and I was just curious if those have actually been presented, because we've been checking the website and we haven't found any actual engineered plans for this project. So that was one of the questions. It seemed like early in the meeting that the engineer of record was unable to answer a question. I can't remember exactly what it was for. But in reviewing some of the plans, there's kind of ambiguous of what exactly going on here. There is a set of plans that are kind of, that are being sent around that have a number of very concerning things. Legion Park, of course, is on the Choctawhatchee Bay. There is the 50-foot shoreline protection zone. First, I'd like to just ask, is there actual engineered plans? Because there's nothing on the website and there's nothing available. There were none in the staff packet.
No, we typically provide a single-page site plan. It looks like what was provided was the site dimension plan, and I agree, it needs some improvement for the public's sake, certainly, and anyone who has an interest in this. But yes, there is absolutely engineered, signed, sealed plans that have been submitted. The way that our project review software works is that without actually physically going in there as a project manager and moving the site plan or civil plans into the public side of it, it's the public doesn't have access to it until it's approved, until it's an approved document. So if there's still outstanding comments, there would not be civil plans available to the public currently.
Okay, so in that case, we're coming to a technical review committee meeting, but we have been unable to review the technicalities of this project.
I understand. This is the technical review committee, right? We review the technical aspects of it.
Okay. And we came today to try to comment on that, but we don't have those documents even available to
Have
comment
made plenty
on.
of comments. I have about 12 questions here that I intend to ask the applicant.
Okay, I'm so glad to hear that. Moving on, I did want to point out that the one map that they did include, it had some errors in it. It says that there's a tennis court, but that's actually not a tennis court. It's a pickleball court that was just installed a couple years ago. It mentions that there's a cyclone fence around it. There are no cyclone fences in this area. This is a very kind of high-end bayfront area, $1 million homes surrounding it. I share in Mr. Scoopin's concerns regarding the noise. At this time, there's no plans to even gauge the distance of the new pickleball courts from the homes. There's a lot of homes that are nearby, and there's not a lot of room for landscaping. This park is under 4 acres. There's other parks in the area that, in my opinion, should have been considered for improvements such as these, because we're trying to put too much on too little of a property. I would like to point out, for one, I hope and request that perhaps, because this is a public park, that maybe it could be considered for a major development review, or at least have a community meeting. There was one community meeting on site. There was about 50 to 70 people that were passionately against this development. So I understand that not a lot of them were able to make the 30-minute drive here today, but I'm certain that we will continue to hear from this group. I wanted to touch on some of the safety concerns that we have. Number one is that during the community meeting, it was brought up that there's children that play in the boat ramp area. This is a bayfront park. The kind of center point should be the bay. There's very few access points to the Choctawhatchee Bay, and even less boat ramps. Right now, Walton County is considering investing over I think it's about $20 million for a bayfront property for boat access. So Walton County knows that there's a need for bay access, but they're taking this bay park and they're turning it into like an athletic type park. The state of Florida this year actually passed the State Park Preservation Act, which I'm sure that I'm sure that you understand, or that you've heard the issues with pickleball courts in state parks. And the state has actually pointed out that there's a difference between preservation recreational activities and athletic activities. So I'm hopeful that Walton County may consider that, because it's not a park for recreation versus a noisy athletic park are two different things. There are, on the plans, we did see 10-foot industrial cyclone fencing. Currently, there's like a nice split rail fence. It's nice and looks somewhat natural. But they do have on some of the plans that have been floating around that, again, are not signed. There's no dimensions. They're not, they don't look like they're to scale. They have industrial cyclone fencing around some of the courts as well as down the drive. They do have plans they're going to, quote, root bridge pave over some of the pine trees. So the pine trees that are left in existence are, for one, there's a lot of pine trees at this park. Because Walton County doesn't have a tree ordinance, there's very few natural native pines in this area. The state of Florida actually pays, I think it's $10,000 to grow loblolly pines. I don't know if that's the pine at this park, but this park has pines that have grown for hundreds of years, and those pines simply can't be replaced. There's been talk about removing up to 20 trees. Again, there's a park down the street that could be utilized, for those athletic purposes, and there's has already was once a golf course, and it could easily accommodate some of the athletic aspects of this plan. Going on the landscape. The landscape plans call for, it's probably 20 different species of plants. That's wonderful. That's great to have landscaping. It's going to be very high maintenance. It's going to take a lot of chemicals, fertilizers, herbicides. Currently, there's an issue in South Walton County that there's a lot of dogs that are passing away mysteriously, and a lot of people are blaming that on stormwater runoff. This plan in the landscaping notes specifically mentions applications of lime and applications of formaldehyde at this park. And so it just doesn't make sense to put formaldehyde and lime on a park that is overlooking the bay, and then installing sprinklers. The BCC has approved an irrigation system. So that would result in the water, pulling those chemicals into the ground and into the bay. This park actually has stormwater modifications in an under drain to artificially reduce the underground water levels at this park. So that is, environmental concerns is very high in this area. I do want to point out, as others had mentioned about the boats, we boat as well. We back into this park often, and I don't know if you've ever backed in a boat trailer besides toddlers that are trying to play in the water, but it's not a very good public safety idea. We had proposed at a community meeting, again, the community meeting notes are not included in this packet, but there was a community meeting in which it was suggested to relocate or to install docks kind of offset from the boat ramp, so that to help assist, because at the end of the evening or before a storm, there's a large queue of boats trying to come in. Putting those docks on either side of the ramps will cause further congestion in that area. And then the stairs going into the water also encourages pedestrians to basically go into the water right where the boats are backing in and out. They have issues now just with maintenance. There has been an improvement since that meeting. The boat ramp is not as slippery as it was before. Let's see. As far as the pickleball, we also are very concerned about the pickleball noise. There are a lot of complaints and lawsuits across the country regarding that, and I think that installing athletic facilities such as that would absolutely reduce the quiet enjoyment of everyone's homes in the area. When you add multiple courts, they say that the cumulative noise makes it even worse, and especially with courts in close proximity. Apparently it's worse. Right now we have one pickleball court, and I think, I haven't heard any major concerns. It's also
Mm-hmm.
deeper into the park than this new plan. Your decision today could cause new lawsuits for the county and for the taxpayers. We're hopeful that you would reconsider some of these plans and some of these safety concerns. The plans that were out there, maybe if you have another set, but the ones that we have shows absolutely zero turning radius for boat trailers. The DOT manual says that a car and a boat trailer is a 42 length. And of course, there's no dimensions on the plans that we saw to be able to see if the 6 boat trailer parking slots would actually accommodate a vehicle with a trailer attached to it. And there doesn't appear to be any turning radius again. So we are concerned about that and about basically the lack of boat parking. As others had mentioned, this park is a natural park. It's a beautiful bayfront grassy park. People leave their home, their small subdivision homes, their apartments to be on grass. This plan has sidewalks throughout the entire park. And so kids that can run today through the grass will be running and tripping over sidewalks. We'll have those sidewalks would need to be landscaped and maintained. And I believe the county does not use a mechanical removal for edging sidewalks. Instead, they spray chemicals, forever chemicals, that wash into the bay and eventually into the food that we eat. As far as having a splash pad, there is a splash pad planned for this park. Again, it seems kind of crazy to attract these huge crowds to this park. We understand why this is happening, and it's because the tourists have been run off the beach. So now that the beach has so many complaints about it, the tourism department, I believe, is looking for new areas to entertain their guests. We go to the park frequently. I've met a lot of tourists there. They're great people, and they enjoy the park. I've never heard a single complaint. We are in Walton County, and especially this area is in a water resource caution area, which means that we are expected to have issues with potable water in 20 years. So I think that it's crazy to have splash pads that are running on potable water for the enjoyment of a few, and when we don't even know where our future water reserves are coming from. I did notice there was a couple documents in the packet. There was a floodplain review, and that review incorrectly stated the intent. I think there was no mention of the asphalt. Right now, if you go into that park, there's really no asphalt. A couple of years ago, Public Works had I think an extra, half load of asphalt. They just dumped it on the roadway without doing any kind of review or plans for it. But this entire area is, it's not asphalted now, and there's a large amount of asphalt and concrete on these plans. But again, there's no calculations to see that. The fact that this was on the agenda today it's kind of confusing, because it's clear that the applicant is supposed to be doing a resubmittal. So I just wanted to mention that we all drove up here thinking that this was going to be the final meeting, but it sounds like if they're still making the plans and resubmitting, that we will be up here again. So I'm hopeful that
not necessarily.
we will receive.
If it is continued, it'll be continued to a date certain. If it is not, then it will be conditionally approved to move forward.
Okay, and conditionally approved. I know at times, sometimes that's if something's updated, but if it's conditionally approved based on a resubmittal, that again leads to decisions by this board for which we've been unable to come to actually review the plans and submit comments. There's none of the plans really talk about removing the pickleball court. There's a pickleball court already there. The formaldehyde, I'm sure on your plans you probably know the square footage of the sod. They plan on putting up to 1 pound, 1/2 to 1 pound of formaldehyde per 1,000 square feet of sod, and they plan on putting 20 pounds of 6-12-12 fertilizer for every 1,000 square foot of sod. This grass has grown and children have grown up at this park for years, and we haven't needed all this chemical to put on this park until the seawall was reinstalled about 5 years ago. And as part of that seawall reinstall, I believe they actually brought it out a little further into the bay. They backfilled it with red clay, and there's been issues with sedimentation in this area going into the bay. The floodplain memo there's mention of pavilions, but there's no dimensions of pavilions mentioned on the floodplain memo, and maybe it was on another one. But again, we didn't have full plans to really look at or to be able to properly comment. In closing, I would like to ask, I did want to mention the increased storage. This plan is apparently increasing the water storage to this park. And I live kind of somewhat across the street from the park. I've seen firsthand where the county has come in and they have dug very deep ditches to fix upland flooding problems, and they have sent stormwater into the bay at this park. There's been a huge increase of volume. Previously, this park didn't flood. Now, just the smallest rainfall, all the water in the entire area goes into this park. There was never any meeting before this board when they took half of the park and turned it from recreation and where people would run and play and have picnics. They turned it into a stormwater pond. So it seems in these plans that there's continued desire to increase the stormwater here. There's a hotel that was built down the street. There's new developments. And so we don't believe that public recreation land is a good place for stormwater from runoff from those developments. My friend and neighbor, Lisa Cook, lives next door. She was not able, she's out of state right now. She did not have any notification of the plans or anything. She's been concerned about the flooding at her house. She's, I think her home is actually probably 5 feet off the east side of Legion Park. And this pond, it looked like there was maybe some potential changes to the pond. Again, she was not notified of the initial digging of the pond a couple years ago. And that pond is within, 15 feet of her home. And I know she's been worried about the water there. Legion Park, when it was first approved and when it was first built out, it was actually built using state funds. And the state funds came from the Florida Department of Natural Resources. So I just want to ask you today to please not approve this, to allow for further public comment. Again, there's just a handful of us that were able to make it today. We were led to believe by Walton County staff that this meeting would not happen today. So I believe that there's a lot more people with a lot more concerns, and absent any community meeting or community notes, you're making a decision that is not, the public has not been informed of what's happened. There's no transparency. There's no plans. I guess once you approve it, then we will be able to see it. And then we're going to start making some noise. But I hope that you would not take this current low maintenance kind of natural park and turn it into just, something that belongs in New York City. It's sidewalks everywhere, landscaped, plants that will need constant watering, constant chemicals applied. Why? It just makes zero sense. And we hope that you would deny it, or at least open up for a community meeting, require a community meeting with notes, because I think that these plans would be a big mistake for public safety, the boat launch, the trailer turnaround, pedestrians playing at the boat ramp. It just doesn't make sense.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bob, you have something?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Can I, because of the public input, can I make a motion?
You can certainly recommend a motion.
Can I make a motion that this be tabled until full plan sets, signed, sealed, have been submitted, all comments have been addressed, and the public meeting is scheduled that I will be able to attend, and we will have minutes for it, and then move forward.
I'll take that into consideration. I do want to ask the engineer record to come up and answer some questions, though. Thank you. So, and actually, before I go, does anybody else have any questions?
I just had a couple comments.
Okay.
Mr. Eberly had a good point. I fish a lot out that way too, and it's, I don't know how the docks don't make sense, because unless you dredge it out, the trees, I see your point there too, because I drive over 331, I work in South Walton, so the park, and anybody drive by Grady Brown Park and see all the oak trees that are dying, all of them, because they planted it over the root structure, killed. Happened at 393 in Chat Holly, the new post office down there. They had some giant oaks that were there. They died within a year. They removed them there. And it doesn't take that long. So it's just some concerns. I mean, I appreciate Bob doing the table at the community meeting. Everyone get on track and maybe work together.
Okay, and I'm just going to echo that. I do appreciate Bob, you coming up here. I'm assuming he worked with you a little bit to get to that place. You know, it is important that the county and you all understand the folks that have utilized this park and that see it every day, their concerns, and I'm hopeful that by the end of this thing, there'll be a better product that everybody can get behind, because that's important. But I do have some questions, just some general questions. Maybe some of it will approach some of their concerns and help with some of that understanding. Maybe not. And some of this is really kind of because the site dimension plan in here, actually it is a demolition plan. It gives a general sense of what we're doing here, but I'm having trouble seeing what exactly the finished product is going to be. So some of this may just be my inability to see the final site plan. So how big are the docks that are being proposed?
If I recall correctly, I believe they're about 4 feet wide and 30 feet long.
Okay,
out
so
into the bay.
they're just intended for a boat to pull up quickly and go and do their business and come back? Is it? No, ma'am. Is it just for folks that are visiting that want to go and throw a line in the water? What is the intent of the installation?
Sure. As we were working with Walton County Beach Ops on this, the intent was never to attract larger, bigger boats. It was just to facilitate the current users to help launch, whether it's kayaks or the smaller boats on trailers.
Okay. Let's see. So it doesn't sound like we're after additional capacity here with that, but just some additional access to the bay itself. Is that?
Correct. Yes, sir. There was never a direction to say, hey, we want to improve this and make it more accessible to bigger boats or anything, because we're not doing any type of sort of dredging or making that portion any bigger. Deeper.
Okay. Now, you know, I understand that there are dangers with any water body, public or otherwise, with infection, just like in the bay. So when it comes to these sort of splash pads, when it comes to this one specifically, has there been any consideration on how it will be treated? And maybe this is beyond your scope of work, but if you can speak to that, I know that these things require treatment. Do you have any information?
As far as specific treatment, whether it receives, chlorine or anything, I do not. We're relying on the vendor for the splash pad. It's kind of a turnkey installation. I do know that the system operates on a sump, so it will recycle the water and can be purged and reset at any interval that you'd like.
Okay. So stormwater issues. The stormwater pond is designed to capture, I'm assuming, probably some of the right-of-way, but the improvements there are directly related to what is being improved on the site to capture that runoff. Am I correct in that?
No, sir. So the pond that's there on site currently doesn't receive much of the water from the park at all. It's
Okay.
serving the community and the ditches that feed into it. So a majority of this park sheet flows to the west and to the north and towards the bay. There's going to be a very slight, change from the grading. So it might receive some of that water from the entrance road or the parking area, but the majority of the water is sheet flows west and north into the bay.
Okay, and that 50-foot buffer serves as a B&P in some respect for that sheet slope?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How much walkway or new walkway, anyways, is being proposed? And I don't need exact figures, but if you can ballpark, well, are we talking about a 5-foot sidewalk throughout? Is it concrete? Is it raised boardwalk? What is the nature there?
Yes, sir. So there is new concrete sidewalk, and most of that is concentrated on that northwest side of the park to go between the courts and east-west, north of the courts, and then also to connect the existing or the recent improvements with the swings.
Okay.
As far as exact square footage, I don't have those numbers in front of me. I apologize.
Do you have just a linear idea how much 5-foot sidewalks going in there? I don't need area, just 100, 200, 300 feet of sidewalk?
I would say probably close to 300, yes, sir.
Okay. So it sounds like there are some additional landscaped areas. Additionally, is the idea that we're creating some passive rec areas with sodding some of these portions of the site, or?
So the intent of that was to do the court improvements and then leave all of the other vegetative areas as is. Avoid removal of trees as possible. So there wasn't a specific intent to clear an area and create any type of open sports fields of that nature.
Okay.
It's just a restoration.
Now, and I'm looking at this demo plan, and I see I'm counting 7 trees total being removed. Is that accurate? I've heard 12, 20 other figures mentioned, so I'm just curious if you know how many are being removed.
Yeah, it's those 7. It was to facilitate the entrance road
Yep.
being widened a bit on the east side of the entrance road, and to facilitate the turnaround for the parking area.
Okay. Now, speaking of that turnaround, has there been any analysis done for turn radius in there for boat and trailer? Is that going to work, or is it not?
So we did use the FDOT guidelines on turning radius, and there will be some analysis done using the auto turn just to verify that those tables and things were correct.
Okay. So the access there, it's just being widened a bit. Is there any radii change up front to accommodate for boat and truck and boat? And I mean, is it good now, the access for?
To be honest, we didn't analyze that.
Okay.
It's just we're utilizing the existing alignment.
Okay. Now, there's some concern, it sounds like, for some of the restroom facilities and other improvements there on site. Is any of that being just continually maintained with this? Or are there proposed improvements to the restrooms and other amenity components?
As far as the restroom building, that was not part of our scope to make
Okay.
any improvements.
And irrigation, is that going to be installed?
So there will be some new irrigation near the parallel parking at the front of the park
Okay.
for the new vegetative buffer that's going there. That's the only areas that we're installing irrigation.
Not really internal to the park
No,
itself?
sir, no.
Okay. And the lime and the formaldehyde, is that just pre-emergent? Is that just?
I don't know if I can speak to that
I
to a
didn't,
degree.
yeah, I
It's a
didn't think you
standard
could.
detail for
It's probably a
fertilizer
landscape
for stock.
architect or
Correct,
someone
yes,
put
sir.
that in there? Okay.
But yeah, obviously we can adjust as needed.
Yeah, and I understand those considerations. I mean, did you say something?
I did not.
Okay. Next to a water body, I understand all of those concerns, especially with the bay. All right, I wanted to kind of approach some of the ideas that were brought up. Ultimately, I'd like to get to a place where the public and the county can agree on what's being placed out there, and there's got to be some compromise on both sides, though. It's not just we're going to do this and we don't want this. We can't please everybody, but I hope we can get to a better place. So I am going to ask for a motion to table. And when you guys do your public meeting and you are in a more, a better place, I expect it to be brought back up in front of us, so I appreciate it. If I could have a motion to that effect.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, no more comments, sir, thank you. Yeah. All right, this item will be tabled, and we'll be back in front of the Technical Review Committee at a later date. We will expect, and it is required, that the notice sign is updated, and we will advertise in the local newspaper as we usually do, so thank you. Gonna wait a second for you folks. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tim, what do you got?
Yeah, good morning. Inlet Cove Plat. I'm doing this for Kelly because she's at the pre-BCC meeting this morning.
Thank you.
This is a plat application consistent with previously approved DO MIN24-000033, submitted by Volker Surveying, requesting to plat 12 single-family lots and associated infrastructure on 1.45 acres with a future land use of residential and a zoning of neighborhood infill. Property is located in District 5 at 102 Walton Palm Road and 74 Irish Way. So there are outstanding comments from planning, county right-of-way, surveying, and environmental. And it appears that some of these comments are substantial, like provide a plat that meets the requirements of Florida Statute 177. So with that, I'd like to enter the staff report into the record, please.
So entered.
And I'll entertain any questions, or I'll turn it over to the applicant.
Any questions for staff? All right, thanks, Tim.
Morning. Ron Velker, Velker Surveying. I've spoken to Kelly earlier this week. We have resubmitted the plat, and we are waiting for comments to come back yet. We've had discussions on the phone concerning some of the comments, which have been cleared up. We're at this point, we're just waiting to hear back from I think surveying at this point. I think that's all the one that we haven't heard back from yet.
Okay, and that's the biggie.
Well, there was only a couple comments on there, and they've already been addressed, and I've already spoken to Scott Rosenheim about it.
Okay. Ron, and I did this to you last time, and I hate doing it, but with this many staff comments,
it's not our fault that planning is not getting back to us in a timely manner.
I understand.
We're trying to get this thing moving forward, and we keep getting pushed back because
comments aren't being reviewed.
We can't address comments. We don't know what they are.
Well, you know,
this is starting to get. I mean, obviously the developer is getting really agitated because this is costing him money.
Sure, I understand that, and I think the state does too. And it seems like we won't be having these kind of conversations for too much longer. But for the time being, based on what I've got in front of me, I got to continue. I'm not gonna allow the preliminary plat to be approved to move forward. That's the status quo.
When is this going to happen? And I know that you guys are having some issues right now, but obviously I got to advocate for my client.
I know.
And you know, they want to go ahead and start building. They want to start pulling their permits. They can't do any of this stuff. They can't move forward. And like I said, every time it gets pushed back, it costs them money because they have to pay the interest on the loan, and it's substantial.
Yep, and I'm sure it is. I'm cognizant of that fact. And I started my statement with, I hate doing it to you, because I get that. I really do. But until I can get a more clean staff report to see this as a preliminary plat that can be approved, I'm not going to do it. I mean, that's just, like I said,
Okay.
the
One-
state is aware of these issues. It seems like we're moving away from any sort of review in the not too distant future. So, you know, that's then. Right now, I'm towing the line that we've already put in the water here.
Okay.
I'm going to give you
Well-
2 weeks. I'm going to ask you to give us 2 weeks. How about that? It's been resubmitted. Let us get through this. Let us make sure that it's in keeping with the statute and our code.
What guarantee do I have?
You don't have a guarantee.
Okay, because, I mean, here's the thing, is that, okay, I show back up in 2 weeks, and then, oh, we haven't had a chance to review it, we didn't get this back, we didn't get that back, let's continue it again. It's starting to become a problem.
It sounds like you've already talked to the folks that, other than survey.
And I have,
Yeah.
but here's the thing, is that, here we are, we've already corrected the issues.
Sure.
Okay, we're waiting to hear back from mainly planning department on this. We have, from our resubmittal that we resubmitted 2 weeks ago, we have not heard anything back as far as comments. Now, I was proactive and I called and talked to Kelly about some of the stuff that was outstanding, and I've gotten verbal feedback and everything, and it seems like we're in a good spot, but no report's been issued. And some of the comments that were on there are old comments that have already been addressed. Now, there's one in there that Tim had mentioned concerning chapter 177. That comment, there's only one person in the county that, or at the county level, that should be commenting on chapter 177, and that's Scott Rosenheim, the county surveyor. He's the only expert that the county has on 177.
I understand, Ron. I understand your concerns. I understand the timeline. I can't make any guarantees, but I will say that staff will do our very best to get through it, provide any comments back. And if there's no additional comments, there's no outstanding stuff, or just very minor, I will conditionally move it forward next time.
Okay, because like at this point, I can't fix what I don't know.
I understand. All right. Thank you. All right. I'm going to ask that we continue this. I'm going to ask for a motion anyways to continue this to the next TRC meeting. I'm assuming that is the July 8th meeting. All right. Thank you. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. All right. Look at the garage 30A. Tim, is this one yours too?
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
So this is a major development order application submitted by Jenkins Engineering requesting approval to develop a 73,020 square foot private club for the storage of high-end vehicles and similar items with a private clubhouse and manager's residence on 4.67 acres with a future land use of mixed use and a zoning of village mixed use. Property is located in District 5 on the north side of Highway 98 East. It's near regional utilities. So, VMU over 3 acres requires a residential component and a recreational component. So the manager's residence is for the residential component. However, at this point, there is a question about their recreational component. So with that, there's outstanding comments from planning, county right-of-way, transportation, and environmental, and GIS as well. We have not received comments from fire or the health department. And there's also outstanding comments for the scenic corridor review.
Okay. Is this one scheduled for DRB yet?
It can't be scheduled until it gets through TRC.
Thank you. Just wanted to make sure that was out there.
So with that, I'd like to enter staff report into the record.
So entered.
And I'll entertain any questions you may have, or I'll turn it over to the applicant.
Any questions for staff? Sammy, have you looked at this one yet?
I can't say that I have.
Okay.
Just I'll get it to you if I have it.
Okay. Jamie?
Morning, everybody. Jamie Eubanks with Jenkins Engineering. Everyone was kind enough to get us these comments actually pretty quick. So we've actually already addressed I'd say 95% of the civil comments, a lot of them were clarification items, as you can see from Tim's notes. I do have, I guess, two questions. So to address the public recreation that Tim was requiring, or that is required.
Yeah.
So it's been probably, I don't know, 6 or 8 months. Obviously, this goes back to the time of Mac. I think some of us were in that meeting. But what Mac had requested of the developer was my understanding from him was there was a long-term goal of the county to provide a continuous multi-use path in the FPL easement from east to west, and asked our developers to construct their portion of that path, if you will. So that is currently what we show on the plans. I think the question, quite frankly, and Tim, I don't want to put words in his mouth, so correct me if I'm wrong, is basically, was that sufficient? Is it enough? Is it sufficient to construct that portion of that planned or hoped for public path? So that's what's proposed now. We've actually submitted everything to FPL for their approval as well. So we do kind of need clarification on whether or not that is sufficient, so that we can adjust or alter or move forward down that path. So that's the first question.
Let me ask you, Jamie, despite what Mac's request was, but I mean, do you think that's sufficient?
I do think it's sufficient as long as this is something that is actually going to come to fruition. Now,
have you seen plans for a future
I have
trail?
not.
Or
This was strictly from him.
Okay. And I know there's definitely been discussions.
Mhm.
I have not personally seen any sort of, engineered or even conceptual improvements throughout that easement. But I am aware that there's conversations that have been had.
Yeah, and I don't know if the goal is just to push that off on private developers, quite frankly. Some of that's not possible because there is some state land, of course.
Sure.
But
Sure. Yeah, no, I think it's a mixed bag
Mhm.
there. I fully expect that the county would expect some improvement by property owners, and we may be filling gaps potentially. But I'll be honest, I don't think that it meets the code requirements. I think I certainly appreciate the effort, and I would love to see it there, but I just think it's insufficient without a connection or a planned connection. I mean, we're talking about how much feet of 10-foot multi-use path?
Oh, probably that's about 100, if I had to guess.
Right.
Off the top of my head.
Yeah, so I mean, literally, we're just talking about 1,000 square foot chunk of asphalt up in a corner.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. Is it the amount? And what I mean by that is, obviously, to the west, and I cannot remember the name of the dang apartment.
Bristol. Right,
Bristol, whatever it's called
little
now.
rec area
They
there.
have a rec area there across the street from this development. If it was longer and connected to that, does that suffice? Because there is a route, and I guess you guys, can you just have a TV you can see there?
It looks like
Oh, well, then I guess I won't be pointing to it. There is, if I can approach, might be.
Sure.
There is an option for a longer path. Actually, you've got it there, Steven. Obviously, we're in this corner now. To potentially pull it back inside the property, put it outside the easement even potentially. Run the entire length down into the easement in the right of way and across. So you'd be talking more and connecting to it.
And then it would just connect to the other property line in the hopes that in the future there would be some sort of connectivity there? Would it, but you're saying it would be out of the FPL easement entirely?
Say that one more time.
You're saying that the path would be pulled out of the easement
It could
entirely?
be, it could stay in the easement, potentially even. I mean, obviously, that's a bigger impact to FPL. We'd have to talk to them.
Sure.
It could go in the easement. We could pull it back and put it in our property, some sort of path. if they weren't amenable to that.
Yeah.
It could get all the way to that path because it's all right of way, or excuse me, the recreation area. So it could get all the way across to it without any additional work from any other property owner.
Yeah, I think if we're gonna go that route, what I would like to see is that they're still utilizing the, at least in some part, the FPL easement, where
Okay.
you would kind of meander the tail end into it, so that in the future, if
that
we
happen.
get the opportunity, we can connect.
Okay.
I would expect that I'd expect two things. One, if it's going to utilize that existing or proposed park improvement to the west there, that we would need a crossing there and whatever
correct.
mechanisms needed to protect against, vehicular pedestrian conflict. And it would certainly have to be dedicated to the public in some form, to provide for public
Absolutely.
access.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I think if we can go that route, I would certainly, be more amenable to thinking that would meet the intent of the VMU language
Okay.
much more.
And obviously, I'll have to discuss with our owners.
Certainly.
They may say, let's do something else. but
Yeah,
I did
and
wanna
that's
ask.
fine, and I understand. But in light of that, and what appears to be still some outstanding comments, I think this needs either to be continued for a month or tabled.
And continue it, that's fine.
Okay.
Can I ask one more question? though,
Absolutely.
For clarification.
Sure.
And I know she's not here, and I know staff's working on it. This is something I emailed the county about a couple of weeks ago, unrelated to this. Sidewalks along connectors. So, if I'm not mistaken from reading the code and doing this for a while, sidewalks are required anytime you're along a collector or an arterial, but not along local roadways.
Right.
So Andrea's comment in this particular case was that all four sides are bounded by collectors and that sidewalks were to be on every side. I would very much disagree on obviously 98, I get it.
She's calling McKinney Road a collector?
Yeah, and that's about a 15-foot wide
I thought
dirt
that was a
road.
private access. This is on state property. Well,
yeah,
look,
it's not even a real roadway.
We'll have a conversation internally about that.
Okay.
Certainly 98 and,
Obviously.
and I would suspect Malachite, but I don't know, and that's my confusion, why I would like to speak with Andrea about the other two sides.
Okay. And I'd like to know about Malachite as well, to be honest. I mean, I could certainly make the argument that's just a local roadway that serves one development.
Right, so it goes to the apartments now, and
the regionals.
In the past, it went to, I don't know how many different manufactured homes and
Sure.
RVs back there, but, sure, I understand that.
But just some
that
clarification
question.
on those
Yeah,
three sides.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All
But
right.
that's all I had. I just did want to address those two items.
Okay, I appreciate it, Jamie. Any other questions, comments, concerns from the committee?
Jamie, I'll get in touch with you, based on what the use of these storage units are, we may facilitate more fire hydrants.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, just let me know.
Based on that, these buildings may have to be sprinkled but I have to dig in the code.
Yeah, and I can certainly, get the MEP engineer and to give me some more information as well, so.
But you said that it's gonna be storage for high-end vehicles?
So it's what these quote toy barns are. They're out of my pay grade, so I don't know, but I guess people store their high-end cars there, and then they tend to get together on the weekends and show them off to each other.
They're storing them and have fuel in them, so that's.
Understood, yeah.
That's my concern, so.
Sure.
But I'll get in touch. Other than that, it looks good. Let me ask a quick question on Malachite. Is that the road that leads to the Jewel?
Yes.
So is that the actual road that's dedicated to the Jewel, or is it that emergency egress?
The Malachite is the primary point of access,
Okay.
I believe.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jamie, you just mentioned this concept here, and I guess I hadn't really thought about it. So it's a high-end sort of toy storage, if you will, for folks to
It is. They
park
get
their
together. So
boats, vehicles.
like the clubhouse has
horses.
golf simulators, and
Okay.
it's this one big club, for lack of a better term, for these people, not just guys, but people to get together and
Sure.
show off.
So what are these units going to include, right? So obviously a garage space. Is there a livable space? Are we talking about apartments?
No, there's no livable space, with the exception of the manager's residence and the clubhouse. There is no livable space.
Okay.
They will potentially have,
Will each user have the ability to improve their internal
Customize, so
space
to
the way
speak.
they want?
yes, with the exception of there's no, there's not water and sewer service.
There won't be water connections, sewer connections?
There will
inside?
be, for wash down, so let me take that back. I don't want to speak to that. But there won't be.
Well, the architectural plan
Yeah.
shows that there's bathrooms
No, there is a
upstairs.
bathroom. You're correct.
Each unit
Yes.
has a bathroom.
Correct.
And it looks like, it's kind of hard to tell from the architecturals, but it kind of looks like a shower too. May not be.
And I
it
would,
may-
I
can't
would
tell.
think, if folks are pulling their cars in there and they're working on their cars, there may be a need to have a wash station and potentially a shower. I do think that there may need to be some limitations on creating density in these units is
Sure.
what my concern is.
Understood.
So
Okay.
any sort of, covenants or deed restrictions, something like that speaks against the ability for individual owners to create an apartment or something? Because ultimately,
Yes, 'cause
that's not what
understood.
this is.
Understood. That makes perfect sense. Certainly not the
I
intent.
second that, strongly second that.
Okay.
Okay.
We will, we'll work on that and actually probably I can get with them, to submit some draft covenants for
Okay,
review.
great. I appreciate it, Jamie. You're always great to work with, so thank you. All right, can I have a motion to continue to the July 23rd TRC meeting? Oh,
Second.
yeah, sorry, Tim, go
I
ahead.
mean, you're gonna have to have discussions with the owners to the west, right? If they decide to go that route.
How do you mean, Tim?
Well, I just don't want to continue it just to continue it again.
Sure.
The first thing they have to do is to talk to those folks to see if they would even entertain the idea or not. And if they say, no, we're not going to even entertain the idea, then they have to come up with something else. I mean, we can go ahead and continue it a month, but I just don't want to continue it to just turn around and continue it again.
Is that recreation area not dedicated?
It is.
I don't think, so we've got our property, the
Malachite.
all that is.
Yeah, I'm not sure that there's going to be a conflict there, but I suspect you're talking about tabling, just in case. So
Yeah,
you'll
I mean, we
continue
can
to-
bring it back at any time, but I mean, if you want to do it for a month, that's fine. I just don't want to table it or to continue it just to continue it again.
Sure, I definitely appreciate that concern. Jamie, just what do you think, man? You want to?
She worked on it.
Sure. So, well, specifically.
I can't speak out of turn.
No, and I don't expect you to.
But he's not crossing their property. The access point to the park, it's public park, so.
It's next to the public roadway.
It shouldn't have an effect. I'm happy to send an email today.
So the difference here between a continuance and a tabling is nothing. Well, that's going to have to be updated. Yeah, we would expect that anyway. So, if there's a chance that we're going to be continued again, I'd rather forego it and then just deal with a new sign, and you let us know when you're ready to go forward. Is that? All right, then I'm going to ask for a motion to table. That's what I'm going to do.
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you. Jamie, just let us know when you're ready to move forward again, and we'll get you on agenda. Thank you. Hi again, Tim.
Okay. Item number 10, Lux Apartments. This is a major development order application submitted by Jenkins Engineering requesting approval to develop a 240-unit apartment complex with clubhouse, pool amenity, public recreational facilities, and associated infrastructure on 24.47 acres with the future land use of mixed use and a zoning of village mixed use. Property is located in District 5 on the north side of Highway 98. Just east of the public shopping center. So of course this is another VMU over 3 acres, so the public recreational facilities is their recreational component for the development. There are outstanding comments from planning, county right-of-way, floodplain, and environmental. We do not have comments. I think the only comments we haven't received to date is the health department. There are also outstanding scenic corridor comments, and I included several emails we've received in opposition to this project, so they're included with the staff report. So with that, I'd like to enter all that into the record, please.
So entered.
And I will entertain any questions you may have, or I'll turn it over to the applicant.
Any questions for staff? Nope. No. Tim, I actually have a question, sorry. Tell us, and maybe I've just missed it because I was looking at the site plan here and trying to think about it, but how are they meeting the VMU standard? Can you speak to that a little bit? The mixture standard?
Well, the public recreational facilities, I mean, they're not specifically shown here on the site plan, but I mean, it'll be open to the public, right?
You're talking about this park and picnic area up front, is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that'll be open to the public. I guess the
manager's suite for the residential component?
Yes, I did fail to mention that. There will be a manager on site, right? I guess my only thought was, you know, how will people know that the facilities are open to the public, right?
Sure.
I mean, we're gonna approve it that way, but how does the public know that that's not just for the people that live in the apartment complex? And I don't really know the answer to that.
Yeah, no, that is often a concern that we have with these developments, so. Yeah, typically, I think, at least in the past, we've required some signage visible to the traveling public, you know, indicating that there is in fact, a public park on site. I suspect I'd like to see that with this as well. But yeah, hi, Jamie, go ahead.
Jamie Eubanks with Jenkins Engineering again. Again, we got these comments pretty early. We do have fire on this one, have Sammy's approval. I don't have any concerns with any of them. I will address just a little bit the public portion. Don't have any issues with signage. I agree with that. One of the other ways we did sort of try and address that and ensure that this is clearly open to the public is this park is accessible without going through the gates of the development. So this is a gated development on it goes in and then splits both ways. There's gates on each side. The park, you do not have to go through the gate to get to the park, and the park has its own parking as well.
And the parking is outside the gate?
Correct.
Okay.
So that is one way we try to not necessarily address how people know that it's public, but to ensure that the public has access, if you will.
Where is the gate? I'm having trouble finding it on the site plan.
Yeah, it's hard to see on those little, especially. There's, come in, there's gate here. You can't see that
Okay,
swing.
okay, so
there it
all
is.
of this parking here
All
is
that
out of the
and
gate.
that as well.
Oh, and this portion over
Right,
here
over
too?
there.
Okay, so this is the gate over here on these islands, okay. So just for the sake of the record here, Jamie identified the gates as being both east and west of that primary access drive. It looks like there are approximately 18 stalls,
20, yeah.
12 to 18, I don't know, something like that, stalls outside the gate area. So with a couple of ADA stalls as well, so. Okay, yeah, I think, some signage there, you know, identifying that as a public recreational area is going to be important.
Okay.
Yeah. Has a resubmittal, have you resubmitted? Excuse
We have
me?
not. We're waiting on,
Okay.
just the architectural to address the DRB.
Okay, okay. Are there any other questions, comments, concerns from the committee?
Jamie, you saw the ditch on the.
I did, and we went ahead and added the easement, on our plans, just completely overlooked the easement at first.
We access it from the west side, but still, if we have any impact from that parking.
Sure. No, we'll.
Appreciate it, cool.
Yeah, we'll add it. Already have.
So it looks like on the far east corner, that's just the emergency.
It is, and one of Andrew's comments, and was of course cross-access. So in our updated plans we've already done, you actually, her comment was to eliminate that access at the time that a cross-access to the east comes into play. So that
I see.
that
Okay.
goes away. But since it's over 100 units right now, we do need that emergency access. So it is gated. It is not accessible though, except for emergencies.
And you're gonna get Sammy the key to the box?
Personally.
All right.
You have a universal key.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. All right, well, look, you know, in light of the lack of resubmittal and outstanding comments, we gotta kick this down the road a little bit. And
I believe we'll be able to make that resubmittal, you know, by the end of next week. I'm only waiting on the architects to update their stuff, so.
okay, I think that'll give staff insufficient time to turn around and address and make sure all this, I'm really leaning into July 23.
Oh, I'm fine. I didn't mean the 8th.
Okay.
No, that's
Okay.
fine.
Tim, does that work for you? Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna ask for a motion to continue to July 23 to give staff enough time to review the resubmittal once received.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you.
Guys.
All right, last one, Bob.
Morning, Mr. Chair.
Morning.
This is the Johnson RV Park. This is request approved by final order. It's MAJ 25-000037 is being reviewed by myself. This is a major development application submitted by Dunlap Shipman P.A. on behalf of Robert Johnson Painting Incorporated. Request to develop an RV park including 44 RV pads, an office, laundry, and 2 restrooms on 6.10 plus or minus acres. The project site is a future land use or rural residential, in a zoning category of rural village. The property is located in District 1. It's located at 205 McDaniels Fish Camp Road and is identified by the staff by the parcel number in your staff report. Mr. Chair, we have a number of comments and some outstanding comments. There are a lot of comments that need to be addressed. In talking with the applicant, I would think this would be best to consider a 30-day continuance. May I enter the staff report into the record, please?
So entered, Bob, thank you.
And the applicant's here. She can answer any questions, but she concurs with me about the request for continuation. But if you have any specific questions, like I said, there are a number of comments either made already or still outstanding.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for staff? No? All right. Ms. Ward?
Good morning, Melissa Ward with Dunlap and Shipman for the Johnson RV Park. I won't go into all that. We've got the comments. We have a few that we're still waiting, I think, for, and we are prepared to have this continued and come back we need to resubmit, so. They seem fairly, simple, actually, most of the ones that I have. I do have a few that we need to get from, I think engineering hasn't commented yet or something, so we're looking for that one. That's
Okay.
it.
What's the zoning here? Oh, rural village, okay.
It's rural village. It was so the property was, and we have the old documentation for the 10, it was a 10-unit mobile home park, and it was in bad shape.
Sure.
And so when he purchased it, he got all the documentation about the previous, and we are attempting to bring it up. Well, you can't do a mobile home park in rural village, particularly, like it's not that particular use. But the RV park was a more suitable use, plus it's right down there on Fish Camp Road, it's down there by the river. It doesn't connect to the river, but it is within proximity, so it's a good location for it.
Yes, I suspect it is, especially with its historical use is probably more of a.
Cleaned it up quite a bit, yeah.
Yeah. I do have a question though. Does the rural village zoning, the allowance for the use for the RV park, is that need to be associated with a recreational component? Is that one of these instances?
Yes, and in the pre-app that I have, we mentioned specifically because of the location of it, it connects directly to the river. I mean, it's not the recreational component. We have a pond on site, which is a fishing pond. It's not so much a stormwater pond. It's not a stormwater pond.
So it'll be
It's a man-made
stocked and
pond.
available for fishing.
But it's literally right down the road from the river. Most people will be going to the river, but it does have a pond on it.
Are there pedestrian facilities to the river?
No, there are not. This is, so stereotypically in that area, the people that RV out there, they bring the RV, they have their vehicle, and they have their boat. And so they take the boat down to the ramp and get in the water there, and then they come back to the RV. So it doesn't connect directly to it, but it does have the road access to it.
Okay, but there's no sidewalks being proposed for this one. Is McDaniel's?
McDaniel's doesn't have any sidewalks from 3280 all the way down. If the requirement is for a sidewalk there, it would, it'd be an isolated situation, but, and awkward, to be honest, but, we would need to take a look at it.
Okay. I think the pond on site, if it's properly labeled, I think, would satisfy that rec component.
Okay.
If a sidewalk from the site to some sort of river access is doable, at least against the property, this portion of that access or that pedestrian way, it would be a great improvement.
I agree. I'll take a look. I think he's isolated as far as being able to provide something directly to the river.
Sure, I understand. One other comment that I do have, and it just may not be shown here, is just the pedestrian access or connectivity here. You've got, as it relates to the bathrooms, you've got sidewalk in front of it, and then sidewalk through the RV park and across the parking lot. But maybe consider putting a crosswalk in there.
Oh, okay.
Just to, highlight where pedestrians will be expected to cross there, just to hopefully prevent any conflict.
Okay.
That's all I've got. And it looks like we're doing a 30-day. Bob, is that your recommendation, 30-day? All right, anybody else, any questions, comments, concerns? I'll leave that up to you two. I'm comfortable with a 30-day. I'll table it if you think that's necessary and the applicant agrees. If they think they can turn around comments in time.
Actually, I would like to keep on the 30-day and then and if I have to table it, maybe I could connect with Bob and just say, look, we can't get it in soon enough. And
Okay.
we'll ask to be tabled. Mostly because hopefully this can go along kind of smoothly. I think most of the comments are relatively easy, other than maybe the access to the river.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Nothing? All right. Can I have a motion to continue to the July 23rd meeting?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. And then lastly, can I have a motion to adjourn? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
You don't want to stay any longer?
Nobody
All right,
wants to.
thank you all.
Stay any